And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the Kresge Center. I'm Jim Funderburg along with Jim Bellamy. And Jimmy, it's hard to imagine, but this is our last ball game of the season, and it is a big one. Hope comes to town. The Britons and the Flying Dutch today are going to try to go head-to-head in the final Saturday afternoon of the MIAA basketball game for the 2018-2019 season.
Yep, Hope has played their way kind of into the tournament talk, and the Britons sat atop the conference just a week ago. And then they've lost a couple of tough ones, including a must-win at Trine in Angola, Indiana. And they also lost earlier this week. So now they're fighting for a top 2 seed in the tournament. And a loss today could really kind of make things dicey for them, push them all the way down to a 3 or a 4, depending on the other outcomes today. So you have a really streaky team in Hope coming in, and you have a streaky team kind of going the other way, unfortunately, with the Brits. But it's senior day, and that always adds a layer of interest to the mix. And we'll see how the young men respond after dropping 2 in a row and really kind of losing a firm grasp on the top of the MIAA conference.
Well, you know, the last time we were here, Jimmy, they won a tough game against Adrian, but every game seems this year to be tough games in the MIAA. It doesn't matter who you are. It's been a difficult situation all the way around. They won that game, and then they had a loss that same night by Trine, and the next thing you know, as you said, they were on top of the conference with a 1-game lead, having to go to Trine that Saturday. It was a close game, came all the way down to the end. We missed a shot at the end. They missed a shot at the end, went into overtime, and at that point in time, Trine took over the ball game and won the basketball game. We also talked that night how difficult it was going to be for these young guys, the Britons, because they had the Trine game, then they had to go on the road with Kalamazoo, and then they had to go on the road to Calvin. So the last 3 games that they've played have been road games, and they have unfortunately only won 1 out of those 3, and they find themselves now looking up at Trine for that number 2 spot. And as you said, a win today, and they stay in that number 2 spot, and they will be the number 2 seed in the MIAA tournament. They'll get the rest of the week off. They'll play next Friday night at Trine. If they lose today, it gets to be, as you said, dicey, because Hope then all of a sudden will jump up ahead of them. Calvin could jump ahead of them, okay? Everything can go sideways at that point in time, and we will talk about that as we go here as the afternoon moves itself on. Right now, Trine on top of the conference, 10-3, Albion 9-4, Hope and Calvin both at 8-5. Olivet sits all by itself in that number 5 hole, and they're going to sit there. There's no place for them to go because they've lost to everybody above them. And then you've got Kalamazoo and Alma at 4-9. So you know where the top 4 are going to be, who they're going to be right now. You don't know how they're going to place out other than Trine, who has clinched that number 1 spot here in the conference.
And that's an important thing to note for the folks watching at home. We talk about a 2-game losing streak and how they fell off the top of the MIAA conference. They're in the postseason tournament.
Yes.
So it's not a question of are they going to make the postseason tournament. Even if they hadn't expanded it to 6 teams this year, unlike previous years, the Britons would still be in the MIAA tournament. It's like you said, just a matter at this point of are they going to be a number 2 seed and get the week off, and are they going to go to Angola, or are they going to slip to maybe a 3 or a 4 and host a play-in game? At worst, they're going to host a play-in game coming up this week. But you'd like to remove all of that.
Yeah.
And you'd like to just get the win today and go in as the number 2, at least end the season, the regular season, on a high note, and then kind of look back at some of the game film and figuring out who your likely matchups are, how you match up against them, and what you need to do that night. Because once you get into the tournament, as you and I have said, and I know it's an old sports cliche, but once you get in the tournament, you can learn from the regular season games, but they really don't matter at that point. Even if you've lost twice to a team who you may play in the MIAA tournament, it doesn't mean that it's going to be 3 times. It's a different floor, different team, different set of circumstances. It's a different day. So you just have to approach it like that. Whether you win or lose today, you certainly hope we do that the Britons come out victorious today. But regardless, the season starts again this coming week.
No doubt about that. We've heard what we think about everything right now. Why don't we hear what the coach thinks about everything? Bobby Lee had a chance to sit down with Coach Jody May, and here's what they had to say.
I'm sure, the guys are disappointed about the outcome of the two games. Last two games, it's I think those are really difficult, tough road, conference games against good teams, and we didn't come out on top. But it, you have to be able to move on, and you have to learn from some of the things we didn't do very well. And there's still one regular season game left, and it still means something as far as seeding is concerned. And playing a team that beat us last time, and so I'm sure there's a little bit of motivation, hopefully a little bit of motivation with them, to kind of show them what this team's all about. I think the last couple games we didn't necessarily execute our game plan down the stretch offensively and defensively, which I think are really important. Both games we were trying to play catch up in the second half, and both games we took the lead, but I think we exerted so much energy coming back from being down that we didn't have enough left in the tank. And you got to be able to execute. Offensively, when we did execute, maybe some shots didn't go down. We didn't always execute, which was a problem. So you combine the two, you're not very good offensively. And then, from a defensive standpoint, you have to, if you're not doing those things offensively, you better be great defensively. And I think while we were good, we weren't great. I'm extremely proud of this group, and I think that they've weathered a lot of turmoil, a lot of just not very good years, and at least from our standard, not very good years. And they've kind of put Albion back on the map and being competitive for a league championship, and I'm just really proud of how they've led this team, and how they've taken a great approach this year, and how that they've really dedicated to having a great year this year, and it's paid off, and it started long time ago, a few years ago, and we knew that this group is a talented group, but they needed to play well together, and they needed to create a championship culture, and they've done that. And so I think I'm just really proud of how they've grown and matured over the last 4 years, and that and all 6 of them are really, really good guys. They all have jobs and are going to be very successful when they're done with Albion, and I just look forward for the next chapter in their life. Playing very well right now, and probably one of the hottest teams in the league. Probably next to Trine, and they're have 2 good players, and they've got a couple other seniors that are playing really well, and they're very hot, and they beat us last time without arguably their best player, and Jason Beckman, and so it's going to be a tall task when we play them, and we just got to step up our game and not worry what's happened in the past. We got to take care of the future.
Great crowd from Hope here today. There's a wonderful crowd here for the home Brits. It's going to be a loud gymnasium, and as we have heard talking to the sportscasters from Holland that came over here with the Hope Flying Dutchman here today, it is a situation where they always felt like this is a tough place to play. It is a loud gym. It can be kind of crazy, but in all honesty, Jimmy, Albion is only 4-18 against Hope in the Jody May era here at this point in time. And the last win that they had was the last game last year where they defended home court. We were here to do that basketball game, and I would think that Coach May looking for maybe a repeat of that one with a win here this afternoon.
Certainly looking to reverse the fortune that they've had the last couple games, and they haven't had much success against Hope, as you mentioned, but they did get the home one last year, and you have to think with senior day today that usually adds a little bit of extra juice to the young men on the floor. They will start 5 seniors today, and we will certainly talk about those seniors as we go along. There's usually a pregame ceremony to congratulate and recognize those seniors too. And I believe they not only do basketball, but they also do I think the cheerleaders typically. So we'll see kind of who all they honor before the game. But yeah, I mean, 4-18. Again, you look at the past, and a lot of these guys over those last 22 games haven't been here for a lot of those games.
That's
so,
right.
You can't let that even creep into your thoughts. You just have to look at today as being, look, we've lost 2 in a row. Got to right the ship and make that better and end on a high note. So hopefully that's what they're focused on today, and not too much the last 22 games they played against them. And I expect them to come out pretty focused and looking to right the ship, so to speak.
Here's what we're playing for today. Trine has already clinched their spot as the #1 overall seed. They will host the tournament come Friday night in a doubleheader there in Angola. Albion at 9-4 is in the #2 spot. If they win today, they will be the #2 seed. They will take the rest of the week off, and they will wait for that Friday night game as well. Hope and Calvin at 8-5 each. Calvin, though, has the initial tiebreaker on that one, as they have beaten Hope both times this year. So if Hope wins today, that would make them 9-5. That would make Albion 9-5. Calvin is playing later here against Olivet. If they win, they will be 9-5. And what will in essence happen is Calvin will bounce up to #2. Hope will bounce into #3 because the Brits will have lost both games to Hope this year, and the Britons will be #4 and will probably be looking, they will be looking at Olivet, who is locked into that #5 hole. The #3 seed, which the Britons cannot be, they can either be #2 or they could be #4 here today. The #3 seed then will take on either Kalamazoo or Alma, whoever ends up in that #6 spot. So I know there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to have on your mind. But that's kind of how this all plays out this afternoon here at the Kresge Gymnasium. And that's why everybody is here, and there is a buzz in this gym, that we have not seen for a long time. We've done a few ball games here, but this is going to be a big one.
Yeah, and again, you like to see the visiting side, well represented, and Hope makes a pretty long drive, about the same drive you and I make.
Yeah, they do.
When we come to cover the games. And so got a lot of respect for the families, the fans who come from Holland and the surrounding areas. They're well represented today. I see a large student contingency today for the Britons. That always makes you feel good. To know under both baskets you have a lot of people, so hopefully you get that home court advantage under both baskets, both halves of the game, and they're making a lot of noise too. And it's just a special day, senior day. You get some family members who maybe aren't normally able to make the trip on a Wednesday or a Saturday, but today I'd have to think they're all here and they're happy, and they got a big smile on their face for today. So it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. The fact that there's so much to play for still on the last Saturday, that's just icing on the cake.
And I'll tell you what, this tournament next weekend should be a good one, because there really is not a lot of difference between #1 and #4, as we saw when we took Trine to overtime there in Angola here just a couple of weeks ago. When you take a look at this ball game, the last time they got together was over in Holland, and it was a night that the Britons lost 77-70. It was a really strange evening that night, because both Jason Beckman, who is the top player on the Hope basketball team and their #1 guard, and James L. Davis, both missed the game that night. Both missed the game because of a concussion, which is a very unusual reason to miss a basketball game, even though it's becoming a little more common nowadays. Football, sure, you expect guys to be out with a concussion, but with the #1 and #2 guys on #1 guy on both teams are out in a basketball Wednesday night because they both have concussions, that still is a little bit unusual. They'll both be on the floor when things get going here today, and we expect really 40 minutes of great basketball here from the Kresge. Both teams have finished up their warm-ups. They're heading to the sidelines right now, and we're about ready to head it down to the floor for the senior recognition and then the starting lineups of the national anthem, as we'll send it down on the floor right now. You got the Britain Sports Network. It's senior day. It's the Hope Flying Dutchman against the Britons from Albion, and it should be a good one here on the Albion College Britain Sports Network.
Ladies other derogatory comments during your time here at Prestige Gymnasium. We would like to encourage all of today's participants, both in competition and in the stands, to be loud, be proud, but especially be positive. At this time, we would like to ask that you please rise and remove your caps and direct your attention above the scorer's table as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem by Albion College students Hip Kamesi, Magundore, and Jean-Taj Wallace. They will perform Lift the Three Voice and Sing, followed by the national anthem performed by the band.
Here we go, dude. There you have the starting five for both teams. The Britons come in at 16-8, 9-4 of the conference. So the Hope Flying Dutchmen come in at 15-9, 8-5 in the conference. They're led by Greg Mitchell, who's a 1989 alumni and is still the best three-point shooter in the history of the school. They've won 4 in a row, including wins over Olivet, Alma, Adrian, and Kalamazoo. And they come in here this afternoon trying to win that 5th in a row and really solidify at least that number 3 spot for the tournament here this next weekend. Yeah.
Your game officials today will be Nick Meyer, Ben Hall, and Shane Smith calling the action. Jim Bellamy and Jim Funderburg up top. And we are ready for an MIAA men's basketball extravaganza on a Saturday afternoon, the last game of the regular season.
Brits will go with a senior lineup. 5 seniors on the floor right now as Granger and Lowe tip it off, and it is Dylan Bennett that comes up with the basketball, and Thompson will bring it to the front court for the Britons. Let's see how they do with this senior lineup. This team has not played together at all this year, but on senior day, obviously you try to get the seniors out on the floor early, and it's such a big game. You got to pat Coach May on the back and wonder, though, how long he'll go with seniors if things don't work the right way. 10 to shoot. Collins fires, no good. Lowe with the rebound, back up too hard, no good. Granger with the bound for the Dutchman, and they'll bring it to the front court. So the seniors had a couple shots and a rebound, and it's still a 0-0 game.
And I think what you said, Jim, really is important for folks at home to remember is this 5 does not play together.
Beckman lobs into the middle to Granger, and he has it knocked away, but there'll be a whistle and a foul, and I believe it'll go against Nate Collins.
One could argue he lost the handle on the ball before the foul, but he still got him on the wrist, and he's going to the line for a pair with a chance to put the first points on the board.
Granger is 70% shooter from the free throw line. Has a chance to put the first points on the scoreboard this afternoon as he's shooting into that Albion student section, and he misses the first one. Big Ryan Lowe. I expected to see a little more of him this year, Jim, than what we have seen. But again, the big fella, really good for 3 or 4 minute bursts. And he controls the second miss, and that basketball along the baseline will be Britain's basketball. So still 0-0 between these two clubs. Jalen Fordham between the legs and over to Nate Collins in the corner. Bring it out front again. The Britons going to lob it into the big fella one more time, and let's see if Lowe can get a bucket here. Goes strong to the glass and lays it in. That's the reason I thought we'd see a little more of him this year, Jim.
It's a tough matchup down low, that's for sure. And he just used his shoulders, used his size and his strength to free up some space.
Beckman misses the shot. The rebound comes off to Austin Thompson. So early on, Britain's doing a great job on that offensive or that defensive rebound, one and done. Again, Lowe spins off the glass. It's 4-0. And you can see Preston Granger, who's 6'6", looking at 6'11", Ryan Lowe, and saying, how am I going to keep you off that glass, big fella? I'm just not going to do it. Jump shot, no good. Tipped over to Thompson. Fordham with the first set of hands that got up to Thompson, and Thompson brings it to the front court.
You're going to try not to let Ryan Lowe get too far down. That's how you keep him off the glass. You keep him farther past the free throw line if you can, then you double down and try to get the steal.
Fordham working on Ray. Pull up and then double team. Jump shot for three. Yes, sir. Britain's Dylan Bennett makes it a 7-0 basketball game. And you wonder how long Coach Mitchell will let this go before he calls a timeout to try to reorganize a little bit.
Well, this is an emotional high right now. This is what senior day does to you.
Fordham takes the basketball away from Riley Lewis. Comes the other end, fires a rainbow, no good.
Talk about bringing the roof down if that one. I mean, that one literally would have brought the roof down because he put so much air on it.
Granger all the way to the rim for the first bucket of the afternoon here for the Flying Dutchman, and a nice assist there by Jason Beckman.
Again, a senior day can do one of two things. You can either ride that high and he can come out inspired like the Britons have, or it can be overwhelming sometimes for the 5 on the floor. They've made it a positive so far.
Lowe again spins to his left, has the ball knocked away by Preston Granger. Well, it's not like this 5 hasn't played some basketball. Fordham plays regular minutes. You know, Dylan Bennett plays regular minutes. Ryan Lowe up until this year played quite a few minutes, and then this year his time was cut down just a little bit. Nate Collins plays quite a bit on a Saturday night. And again, right into the big fella. And Preston Granger says, okay, no mas, no mas.
Well, Preston Granger on that inbounds was pushed under the basket. So, I mean, even if he tried to block, he would have had his hand go up through the rim, which would have been a goaltend anyway. So he got pushed out of the way. He couldn't even compete.
Granger has this one blocked. Oh, boy, I thought that went off of Granger.
That did go off Granger's hand. That's a missed call right there.
Lowe's knocked the ball back, I thought, off of Granger's hand. I think Granger's looking at it like thinking, well, I got away with one right there, because he goes to the bench right now. As they'll sub for Sam Bree, who is 6'9", hoping to have a little more size on the floor to go against the big guy from Albion. But I do believe that was a turnover. That one should have gone the Britons' way.
Yep. Now see if Hope can capitalize on the gift.
Beckman with Collins on him, works around the screen from Bree. Three-point try from the right wing is off the mark. Bree with the rebound. The putback's no good, and the big guy has it again. Tell you what, Ryan Lowe having a pretty good start to a senior Saturday afternoon here at the Kresge.
Can't ask for much more out of that young man. He's given full effort.
Austin Thompson works around the screen.
Wide open look.
Jalen Fordham, no. Ball gets tipped and then picked up by Riley Lewis. This is not really a running team necessarily, but they will run at the opportunity. But they have some really solid guards on this basketball team and some decent size across the 5. Lowe again alters that shot, and Fordham pulls it out. And I'll tell you what, Dennis Towns a little frustrated having to shoot over the big guy.
Yep.
That one did look like it was going in, though.
Good help defense that time, and good poke away, but a good steal. A lot of action.
Lewis tipped it away. Fordham pulled it back in. Jump shot no good by Thompson. And it's still a 9-2 basketball game here, almost 5 minutes into this first half. Big game, big solid game. The Britons JV team won at the buzzer in the first game, as this is a run out by Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Finds Collins with the assist and the lay off the glass, and the Brits go up by 9, 11-2.
It's one of the hardest things to do if you're taking it down the floor. You think you have the layup to give it up, but great teamwork right there to know that his path was easier and he got the clean look.
And when you run the floor like Collins did that time, you get the reward, and it's always good to see that way too, as Bree jams one home.
One good turn deserves another right there. Both teams showing good job with ball control, not panicking in the moment, keeping their head up and finding the easy look.
Dennis Towns, the young fellow that saw him coming down the lane. It was Towns on the other end that was asking Coach if they wanted a timeout. Coach said, nope, just calm down, play it out, and let's play basketball right now.
Yep, it's a wave. Just ride the wave.
Thompson for 3, no good. Lowe with the putback. And that's 8 for the big senior, and now they'll get a timeout, but it'll be the Britons that call it. And I think it's because Ryan Lowe is just about spent. He gave you 5+ minutes. He gave you 8 quick points. And I've got to believe the big senior is going to sit down and grab a little oxygen and some some Gatorade.
Oh my goodness.
And we're going to see some new faces on this on this Britons basketball team when they come out of this break.
But again, you can't ask for much more effort out of that young man. I mean, that was the inbounds play right there where his defender got pushed under the basket. There's nothing you can do about that. I love the help right there. But in fairness, the response going the other way, the cutter, the very next possession for Hope. Great job again, keeping your head up. Good communication by both teams so far. Good start by the Britons.
Britons will go back to their normal starting lineup. MJ Barnes comes on the floor along with Arshawn Parker. Jalen Fordham will be the one lone starter that will stay. Caden Ebling also in the game for the Britons as they make a wholesale change. 4 out of 5 players now change faces for the Brits. For Hope, they'll stay with the 5 that was on the floor, and Hope they bring Preston Granger back in as he's a better matchup with Ebling than he was against the big guy Ryan Lowe. 3-point jump shot, no good. Ball tipped around and pulled down by Dennis Towns. He has it stripped away, but is able to hang on to it into the corner, back out front to Beckman.
Well, they were doing everything they could to take that ball away.
Lewis runs out of real estate. Back to Beckman. Beckman, who scores 20 a night, has this one come out. And the rebound comes off to Ebling for the Britons.
Wide open look. Get it.
3-point shot from the corner is no good by MJ Barnes. And it's one and done for the Britons.
Nice pass.
Oh, nice block by Jalen Fordham. That's what we've always said. Preston Granger thought he had an advantage, but Fordham can get up in the air with the best of them. Jump shot follow away by Arshawn Parker, no good. And the Britons have gone just a little bit cold on this offensive end. 3-point shot maybe changes the complexion a bit as Riley Lewis finds one from the left wing.
You look at the shooting percentage by Hope, and you see none of them dropping really so far. You know that's not going to continue. So we always say, if they're cold, you have to take advantage. Nice pass right there to Ebling, and a timeout by Hope. You have to take advantage, though. If they're shooting cold, you have to be on fire. The Britons really have played pretty solid. But, again, as many misses as they've had so far, that's not going to continue. You have to assume that Hope is going to start knocking them down, and that last trip, I think, is more a reality check of what's to come. So you're going to need to execute on defense and really force them outside longer than they'd like to be.
Well, so far in this basketball game, it has been one where the seniors came off the bench for the Britons to open things up, and they got the Britons off to a great start. And now we're back to the regular lineup. I'm trying to cut up to some live stats right now, Jimmy. And I'm going to have to reboot here real quick just to get that happening. This gym is full today, and I'm not sure whether it's a matter of having too many people playing Wi-Fi statistics this afternoon or what, but we're going to figure this out as the afternoon goes on, and we will find the information. Here we go. Everything now is rebooted, and we'll get you some stats here in just a minute. Lewis has Fordham on him, and they switch. Ball goes into Granger. Granger double team, spins in the lane, leaves it a little short. There'll be a whistle on the reach in, and the foul will go against Caden Ebling. That'll be his first of the afternoon, and that will be 2 now on the Britons this afternoon.
You can see Coach May out on the court, really vocal towards Ebling right there too, wanting him to do something different. But really, you look at what the Britons have done. They're low pointing the ball, getting as many deflections as they can. You can see the frustration on Preston Granger's face, how hard he has to work to get a shot. It's a cumulative effect. Look at the frustration they're causing him now. It's going to be even more difficult later on.
And he is 0 for 4, 70% free throw shooter who's opened this ball game 0 for 4 here early. And the Britons with an 8-point lead, 15-7.
Again, what do you do to respond, though? If they're cold, you have to get hot.
Ball gets tipped out of bounds, and they go to Ebling on that low block. Nice job by Granger to see the ball coming and tip it into the bleachers.
And you can tell how bad Hope wants this game, too. You can see the determination on a player like Granger's face. His shots may not be going down, but he's not lacking in effort on the defensive end.
These are two teams that know one another very well as Ebling goes underneath Preston Granger for the lay-in. And so far, the weakness of this Hope basketball team has been in the paint as the Britons, to the unofficial stat right now, I've got them down for 8 Now that makes it 10 in the paint because you had a lay-in as well. 10 out of the 17.
Lost the handle. Again, cumulative effect. And I think, Jim, one of the reasons that the interior defense has been lacking so far for Hope is there's no help.
Riley Lewis leaves it a little bit short, and the Britons clean up the defensive rebound. Kick out to the corner for three. Dylan Bennett, the senior who started everything off with the starting five, puts the Britons out to their biggest lead of 13, 20-7.
Just have to keep it going now. No lead safe. You have to keep it going.
Well, we saw that in the JV game. The Britons JV team had a 16-point lead. We've got an offensive foul. Nope, it'll go against Davis. Yep, it's Granger that got the foul.
And that's a frustration foul. Again, how hard they made him work on offense earlier by trying to get the strips. It frustrates a player, and it's hard to keep your composure the entire game. So if you're going down the court and you feel a shoulder kind of into your back to post up, eventually it's gonna bug you. Not saying that's what happened there, but it's human nature. It has to.
Barnes out to Parker. Between his legs into the lane. Gives it the fake, the scoop, no good. The rebound comes off to the Flying Dutchman. And a foul on Parker, who's couldn't get up off the floor, so he thought he'd make life a little more difficult for Riley Lewis.
Well,
gave him a hurdle to go through.
He's fortunate, though. I mean, I don't know what the burden of proof is off the top of my head, but when you reach out to trip like that, you're not really playing the ball. So, not a very smart foul right there.
Britons off to a great start here, just about the midway point of the first half. Good to have you with us out there. Don't forget you can talk to us this afternoon if you're watching somewhere.
Webcast at albion.edu. Shoot us a message.
Whistle before the ball goes in the air will go against Arshawn Parker as Riley Lewis was trying to make his way down that lane.
A couple of subs coming in. Jalen Fordham checks in, as does Danny Beckman.
Britons so far shooting almost 50%, 47, 9 of 19 for the Flying Dutchman. They're 3 for 13 at 23%, Jim. And as you said, that's probably not going to stay that way forever.
No, it's a good ball club. They wouldn't be on the streak they're on if they don't shoot it well. Got
two Beckmans on the floor right now, and big brother Jason knocks down his second shot of the afternoon, or his first shot of the afternoon. That's just two. Young fella scores 20 on a Saturday afternoon normally. He's got 18 to go, and hopefully we can keep him well away from that one. Jump shot's no good by Davis. Rebound comes off, and just absolutely a difficult foul there for Caden Ebling. Really had a hard time trying to get around Jason Beckman and had to run through him. That'll be two now on Ebling.
And that's a senior move right there by Jason.
Yeah, that no doubt about that.
To hear the footsteps come from behind you, just to stop, kind of arch your body forward a little bit, knowing you're going to draw the contact and take the fall, and it's an easy call.
Brits with 14 points in the paint compared to 4 here so far for the Flying Dutchman early. Both teams doing a pretty decent job taking care of the basketball. 3 turnovers for the Flying Dutchman as that three-point shot will be short. And the rebound comes off to Dylan Bennett. Danny Beckman doing the best that he could to try to take the ball away, but he says, nope, you're a sophomore, I'm a senior, you don't get to do that here today. Armstrong enters the game and makes his presence felt. He had 18 last time these two guys got together, had 18 last year in this arena. And for Quinton, that's his first 2 points of the afternoon.
Both teams playing inspired defense so far, making life tough.
Barnes all over Beckman again, a shot that's missed. And Quinton Armstrong actually tapped that one up off the glass and then rebounded it the second time. I wonder if he gets 2 for that.
Probably not.
James L. Davis lets one fly, no good.
Bad shot right there.
Beckman to Beckman, and they're coming down the floor. Towns goes to the hole and has it blocked away by Jalen Fordham, and the run out to Davis, but it went over his head. Will he save it? Yeah, he will, but nope, they're going to say he went over the end line at that point in time. Coach Mitchell coming down to ask exactly what happened on that last play, and saying all he got was basketball, coach. That's all I can do.
I'm sure he believes him.
I'm sure he does, no doubt about that.
Fully satisfied with that explanation.
Nate Collins will check in. Dylan Bennett will take a seat. MJ Barnes will also sit down. And they'll bring in Zach Winston there for the Britons. Calvin Hackert on the floor here for the Flying Dutchman, 23. Towns.
Trying to drive, cut off,
Boy, he's
steal.
And it will be out of bounds off the Britons. Towns, I think, really being a little perplexed by the speed and the tenacity so far of this Britons defense this afternoon. They're playing about as well as we've seen them play this year, Jimmy.
As soon as you put that on the floor, there's usually a player getting a low center of gravity, reaching out, trying to strip. There
Ryan,
you go. Hands up.
Ryan Gam lost it. Ryan Gam got it back. Ryan Gam finds Dennis Towns underneath, and an easy lay-in makes it 22-11.
And that's just, you credit the hand-eye coordination and the reflexes of that young man right there. That one easily could have been turned over and marching down the court.
8 minutes to play in this first half. Britons on top by 11, and a traveling call will go against Quentin Armstrong. So far, Teddy Ray, the leading scorer for Hope. He's got 3. Beckman, Jason Beckman, Dennis Towns, and Sam Vree, and Preston Granger all with 2. And on the other side, Ryan Lowe opened the ball game up with 8. Dylan Bennett has 6 right now. Caden Ebling with 4. Collins and Armstrong a bucket apiece.
That early explosion by Lowe, he may be the leading scorer at the end of the half here.
No doubt about that. It could
Very
be.
possible.
Granger with Armstrong on him. Throw the ball inside to Towns. Collins on him. On the low block. Spins, falls away. And all of a sudden, he's finding his range just a little bit. Towns had a good game against us back in January there when the Dutch beat us at the DeVos Fieldhouse over in Holland.
Falling away with the ball being tipped. Great concentration.
Fordham
nice pass.
dumps it off at the last minute to Armstrong after the double team, and Quentin all by himself with the easy lay-in, 24-13.
Dennis Towns coming over for help defense, just a fraction of a second too late right there because he did have the hand up, but just couldn't get there in time.
Can they keep up this pressure all game long? Towns had that one bounce through his hands. He said Jalen Forden had a hold of him.
Yeah, a lot of contact down there.
Official right there, couldn't see it. Davis misses the shot, but he'll get the loose basketball underneath to Armstrong for the right-handed lay-in. Thought he was going to jam it for a minute. Then he just realized, hey, just float this over the edge, and let's just count the 2, not take any chances.
Doesn't matter how you do it. It only matters that it goes in.
That's 6 for Quentin here this afternoon. 26-13. Granger on the cut, with the ball thrown a little too high and a little too far by Denny Beckman, and he will stay on the floor as his brother Jason comes back out. Towns will take a seat.
Game within the game also, Jim. After that pass, Preston Granger shot a look over at Beckman. And it's just the little things that when you get frustrated, sometimes it also spills over to how you interact with your teammates. And if you're trailing and things aren't going well, they could go south in a hurry if you don't get it together. So teamwork is also a big part of it.
Thompson and Lowe back in the ball game for the Britons as Lowe kicks it out to Collins. Collins floats off the glass, no good, but a reach-in call will give Collins an opportunity to shoot a couple from the free throw line as Riley Lewis will pick up his first foul of the afternoon. And that's 2 now on the Flying Dutchman. Britons at 5 here in this first half. Dutchman right now shooting 30%, 6 of 20. Brits at 48, 12 for 25. From behind the arc, 1 of 7 for the Dutchman, 2 for 9 for the Britons. So neither team really lighting it up from deep here early.
And I waited purposely till the first free throw was up to say that he's about a 77% free throw shooter on the season. There, just in case anybody who happens to also be a sportscaster thinks that there's such a thing as the sportscaster jinx.
Vree will check in as Granger will take a seat. Collins will have the second one, and he'll get that one as well. And the Brits go up 28-13.
Just have to keep it up now. You have to continue to play that hard-nosed defense. You're going to need to sub a lot if you're Coach May, because you're going to need the speed, you're going to need the tenacity and the effort all game long if you want to get this victory.
Beckman had the pocket picked, and then they picked the pocket back right at the midcourt line.
Nice effort.
Nice job by Winston to take that one back to Thompson, back to Winston. Cut off on the baseline.
Man, they're going at it. This is fun to watch.
Collins for 3 from the corner. No, too much, and the rebound comes off to the Dutchman. Tyler George in a hurry. Beckman out to his big brother. Swings it to the left side. Three-point fall-away jumper's no good. And Ryan Lowe says, one and done, gentlemen. We're heading the other way.
Yeah, fall-away three.
Winston thought he was going to get Thompson, kind of an interesting, almost a carry. If that foot would have come down, he would have been called for a carry, but he got it away at the last second.
Look at the help defense.
And he'll fire from the corner for three.
That's how you answer it, right there.
And with that, the Dutchman want to talk it over. We got 4:58 to play in the first half, and the Brits with an 18-point lead here on the Britain Sports Network.
Award-winning journalist Rochelle Riley makes a rescheduled presentation for Albion's 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Convocation. Riley's presentation takes place at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 26th in Albion's downtown Bohm Theater. This event is open to the entire Albion community, and all are encouraged to attend. For more info, contact the Albion College Gerald R. Ford Institute at ford@albion.edu or call 517-629-0368.
What an afternoon of basketball, Jim. I'll tell you what, as we were coming over here, we were speculating how the Britons going to play today. They kind of run into a buzzsaw the last couple of days, couple of games, and they've come out. They've used this home court advantage, and they're playing extremely well here in the first half.
Yeah, that was last week's game was a heartbreaking loss. You had it in regulation. You had the guy. You had the look. And, James Elliott knocked a three-pointer down to win the previous game, really. So you had the feeling Magic was going to happen again. Unfortunately, shot didn't drop, and then they were cold in overtime, and Trine did his business. And then you lose the next time on Wednesday. So now you think, man, is this the beginning of a slide? And you really don't have any time to have that happen at this point. You have to rebound today because you can't go into the tournament dropping three in a row. And these young men are playing like they fully understand and appreciate the gravity of that situation, and they're ready to make it right.
Britain's playing this last 4 minutes and 48 seconds with a very quick, smaller basketball team as Beckman with the
nice
runner.
Clear out, couldn't get it to drop.
Fordham with a nice job to pull down the rebound. Davis goes coast to coast, and he does find the square on the other end.
Defense couldn't get set.
Whoa, Beckman
Might have
with
been
the
a
bounce.
little bit of a flop. But
yeah, I would say there's no doubt about that, but that's how Beckman got the last foul, too.
True.
Three-pointer from the corner for Riley Lewis makes it a 17-point contest, 33-16.
And the official who didn't call it had a bird's eye view. He fell right at his feet. Rust that shot. Coach is letting him know, too.
Wants to keep everything under control. The last thing you want to do right now is allow Hope to go on an 8-0 run or 10-0 run in this half.
You can't even have him go on a 6-0 run at this point, Jim.
Not when you had the control that you've
That's a
had
double
all year
dribble.
long, all first half.
That's a walk.
There's going to be a little walking going on there. Those shoes were shuffling around like somebody was in a dance contest down there. Riley Lewis, but the Brits come away with the basketball anyway. Fordham for three, nothing but cords. 36-16 for Jalen. That's his first bucket of the afternoon.
You just can't let up. You know Hope's going to go on a run. You can't let up.
Check on a couple of scores for you here in a few minutes around the conference, as well as the reach-in foul on Winston before the drive.
Got the bump on the way up, Jimbo.
Adrian winning over Kalamazoo. That game started early. They're up 77-74 with 20 seconds to go in the ball game. And Trine and Alma have quite a ball game going on. 6:21 to play in the first half. Alma leads Trine 19-18, a low-scoring affair. Again, that Calvin Olivet game is tonight at 7 o'clock.
Well, you've already sewn up the one. So not that you want to go into the tournament losing your last game, but they can't fall below where they are. So
doesn't really matter to them, no doubt about that. Jeff Gorel in the ball game here for the Flying Dutchman. Ball swings out to Beckman, and he drops a three just like that. That is the scary part of Jason Beckman. He can go very hot from very cold very quickly.
Yep, and that was a catch and shoot. That ball never left his shoulder area, so he was right up with that one.
2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first half as Davis puts one up. No good, but it's
job
tipped
by
out
Quentin Armstrong.
to Fordham by Quinton. And the Brits reset the shot clock. And coach wants them to take a little time and get a bucket here. Fordham for three from out front has got nothing but net. And when Jalen puts them up like that, man, they almost bounce off the rafters here at the Kresge. Another inch or two, and that thing would have never come down. Shot's a little short. Quentin Armstrong's there to pull down the rebound. Britton's in a hurry. Davis with a show and go. Up, lost the ball, tips it over. Corner three. Yes, sir. Dylan Bennett, as everything's going right for the home crowd right now. You got to figure Davis was looking for a little harm on that last possession. He lost the basketball, but to his credit, as he hung in midair, he tipped that ball out into the corner, and Dylan Bennett took advantage of it for his 9th point of the afternoon.
And that's something I think if you're watching as a fan, you see them rush that possession and go for that shot, and you think, oh, no. But then, thankfully, he was able to retrace that ball, get the tip out, and get the wide-open three. Jim, the 3rd annual Albion College Film Festival takes place tomorrow, Sunday the 17th at noon at the Bohm Theater. The event is free, but donations will be accepted on behalf of Harrington Elementary School. For more information, contact Albion College's Honors Program Assistant Director, Renee Krager at rkrager, K-R-E-G-E-R, at albion.edu.
If you're coach and you just brought your guys over and you're talking to them and you look down the stats, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys for the Brits so far that have scored. Towns will fight Armstrong inside.
That's a yes.
Jump ball called, good jump ball call too, as Jalen Fordham was laying in the weeds there. It will stay with the Flying Dutchman as the arrow is pointed that direction, but I'll tell you what, Towns had no idea Fordham was close.
Nope. Good help defense, didn't communicate it there, and he low pointed the ball, so when he had it around his waist and went up, he already had a hand on it ready to get the tie ball.
Brits with a lot of double teams here this afternoon, and the Flying Dutchman leaving everything short on this end.
Thought there was going to be contact, and there was a little leaning, but no real contact right there, so I think that's why he might have short-armed it, thinking that he was going to get bumped.
Minute and a half to play here in this first half as Fordham goes to the rim, off the glass, and it will stay home. 25-point cushion now for the Brits.
You know it's your day when shots like that are dropping, and the help defense isn't coming for the Dutch.
Beckman has MJ Barnes. You're going to get a chance to talk to MJ's dad here at halftime. Looking forward to that. Lob goes down to Towns on that low block. He's got Armstrong on him. Here comes the double team. Falls away at the free throw line. No good. Jalen Fordham up over the rim, pulls it down, and the reach-in foul will go against the Flying Dutchman. Did they, that's who they pick it up on, 33, Jeff Gorel.
Yep. Yeah, as you mentioned, Milton Barnes, the Director of Student Success Initiative here at Albion College, will be our scheduled halftime guest. And we'll talk with Milton about some of the good work going on here at the college and the diversity efforts that Albion College is employing.
Whistle and a bump, and that will go against Dennis Towns. Coach Mitchell out talking just a little bit about exactly what's going on. He's not a happy guy. Greg Mitchell spent 25 years in the high school ranks here in Michigan before he took the job over at Hope. And as we said, a 1989 graduate who still is the most proficient three-point shooter in the history of the school. 14 to shoot. Fordham behind his back outside to Davis. Davis again flying and skying and bouncing things off the glass just at the right spot. Three-pointer on the other end is no good, and Dylan Bennett's there to pull it down.
Tough day so far for the Flying Dutchman.
Armstrong came up a little short over Dennis Towns, and the Dutchman will have the last shot if they want it. Shot clock is off. 12 to shoot. Beckman has Barnes on him. They'll switch. Fall away jumper will bounce around and find its way to the floor here at the Kresge. Three-point lob will be good if it goes, but it hits the front iron, and it's about the only thing that didn't go the Britons' way in this opening half, Jimmy, as they'll take a 25-point cushion into the locker room, 46-21.
Fantastic first half by the Brits. And that excitement on the finish right there and the missed three is almost how the JV game ended, Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
A long three at the buzzer.
In fact, it was Jawan Perry who made a three for the Britain's JV team to win that ball game 63-60. And what a ball game that one was, too, as the Britons were up about 16 at one point when we walked in the gym and then had to hold on to the end and make one at the buzzer.
Trailing. They were trailing there.
Yeah.
by 6 or 8 points late, and then they made a furious comeback, and then it was back and forth all the way until the game winner at the buzzer. Ordinary Days, a musical by Adam Guan, runs in the Herrick Center Auditorium February 15 through 17, and also the 20th through the 23rd. Email Theater Department Secretary Nicole Lee, nlee@albion.edu for ticket information.
It's halftime here at the Kresge's. We'll take a look at some individual stats to open things up as we wait for Mr. Barnes to come up and join us here at the half. Jason Beckman leads all of the Flying Dutchmen with 7 points. He is 3 for 7 from the floor, 1 for 2 from behind the arc. Dennis Towns with 4. He's 2 for 6 from the floor, and has 3 rebounds here to lead all rebounders on the Hope side. Wiley Lewis with 3 points. Teddy Ray with 3 points, 2 for Sam Bree and 2 for Preston Granger. On the other side, before we make a switch here, Dylan Bennett with 9, Jalen Fordham with 8, Ryan Lowe with 8, Quentin Armstrong with 6, James L. Davis with 4, Nathaniel Collins with 4, Caden Ebling with 4, Austin Thompson with 3. As the Brits lead at halftime, 46-21. We'll give a quick 60-second break here, and then we'll bring Mr. Barnes into the set with us, and Jimmy will get a chance to chat with MJ's dad. How's that? We're calling you MJ's dad. How's that, huh? We'll take a break on the Britain Sports Network.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
By Milton Barnes. Milton joined the institutional advancement staff as the director of student success initiative, and you work with the diversity effort for underrepresented populations at Albion College. That's a long title and a long introduction for the lay person out there who maybe does not work in higher education. Milton, tell us what you do here at Albion College.
Well, you wear a number of hats. That's why they give you a long title. That means you have more responsibilities, at least areas to be concerned with. But the primary focus is to help those students understand and know what it takes to be successful. And obviously the end goal is to make sure they graduate. And one of the things we want to do is try to make sure in between their freshman and senior years, they're doing all the right things to get there.
So success can be defined in many different ways.
Right.
How do you define success for the students?
Well, I think it's an individualized process. I think everyone has to reach their full potential. And it's our job to try to help them to define the potential and then really work hard to get there. I think it's important that students of all nationalities understand Albion College is here to see to it that you succeed. And at the end of the day, we want you to come back, but we want you to be able to look back on your experience as a student, knowing that you were able to reach your full potential.
And it's really more than just making sure that the students graduate. There are a lot of things, like you said, it's an individualized success plan with each student. So there may be things that help shape them as adults, as young adults, things that they will carry the rest of their lives that maybe go far beyond the classroom.
No question. I think the college experience is one of the primary probably experiences in their lives as they begin to become more as an individual because they've left their parents' wings and now they start to spread their own wings and find out what it is in life that they're aspired to do. And I think it's important that we help them reach that point and help them to understand the process that's involved with that. But like you said, there's so many things in between that time that students have to experience. And we want to make sure both no matter what the nationality is, that they get that full experience. I call it the full Albion experience.
Now, what are some of the most common things that you experience from the student perspective? Maybe questions or concerns that you get on a regular basis?
Well, I think a lot of times students come here and the campus is small, so you ask, what is there to do? That's one of the first questions almost. But one of the things they find out eventually is that the community is a great resource. It's a place where people embrace you, no matter where you come from. And they look forward to trying to be a part of that growth process that each student goes through. And Albion, the community, has so much to offer. The community continues to bounce back from struggling years when the auto industry really kind of shut down things for a while here in the state. But Albion is starting to come back, and we've got a great opportunities here in the community, both educational-wise, but also just in the opportunity to give back to their community.
What kind of growth have you seen from the students that you've worked with? Maybe a few success stories you can share.
Well, probably, I haven't been here that long. I've only been here since December, actually.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
So I haven't had a chance to really get that full effect. But just from week to week, month to month, you look at individual kids that at some point we're trying to figure out things in terms of what they can fit in while here, either they're an athlete or they're not an athlete, what other groups are here for them to participate. The Black Student Alliance obviously is a resource as well. But, we've got so many other student groups and opportunities for kids to get involved and find their own niche. So I think that's what's important for each of the kids. And just watching them go through that process is kind of rewarding, because I have flashbacks myself when the days I was here.
Now, Albion has always kind of struck me as a family-oriented community. Is that reflective also in the campus culture?
No question. Our smallness helps make that possible. When you're talking about 1,200 to 1,500 students on campus, you're talking about a small group of numbers at the end of the day that you're spending a lot of time around, and you're going to interact with each other on a daily basis. And no matter where you come from, you're going to have a chance to interact with people that may come from a different area of the country, may come from a total different culture. And I think it's important that we embrace the differences of each other. And I think that's what that closeness in this community and then on this campus allows you to do. And I'm proud of the fact that President Disler has put us in a position to offer such a diverse environment that really prepares our kids to go out in the real world.
As you mentioned, still relatively new to the position. What are some maybe like one or two goals personally that you have set, things you would like to see achieved?
Well, I think the one thing you realize is that your numbers may reflect one thing, but you want to make sure that all students have the opportunity to participate. I think participation is important. Sometimes students can get so caught up in their academics that they forget that there's other aspects of this campus that will give them a total exposure to the things that they'll need later on in life. And I think that's one of the things I hope to be able to do, to make sure that our students are really getting the full experience and understanding what's here on the campus and also in the community.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the first half. You and I talked just before we went live during the commercial. That was a pretty good first half of basketball.
That was a great first half. And I'm really happy for the seniors to come out and get the start that they had today. Because I had reflections on back on when I was a senior, and it seemed like I don't think I played very well my senior year, my final game of my senior year, just because my parents hadn't seen me play much. So I think the nerves and the anxiety of wanting to impress them overwhelmed me a little bit. But it's a great day for the seniors, and hopefully we can continue to come back this second half and play well so that we can keep this comfortable lead.
And I was just going to ask the follow-up question to that, which is, if you put your coach hat on for a second, what do you tell the guys in the locker room? I mean, they played a fantastic first half, about as good as you can play. Hope's going to come out hungry in the second half and make a run. What do you tell them to make sure they stay locked in?
Well, I think you have to erase the scoreboard, put it 0-0 in their minds, but also understand the importance of coming out with that same energy level. Defensively, they were really good. Offensively, they were clicking on all cylinders, and I'm real happy offensively. Big Ryan Lowe made his presence felt right on the opening tip, and he did a great job. But everyone, they did a great job defensively as a team. And I think that's what you got to rely on, because emotions, you can exert all of that emotion on the defensive end and then calm down on offense. So hopefully they will have that same energy level that they can express on the defensive end and still calm enough to be able to make shots in the second half. Because you know Hope is going to come back and make some shots, so you got to be ready for that.
I agree. Milton Barnes, the Director of Student Success Initiative at Albion College, has been our guest. Milton, thank you so much.
Thank you,
continued
Jim.
success in your position.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're going to take a quick timeout and come back for the second half. It's Albion men's basketball on the Britain Sports Network.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh.
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Kresge here at halftime, Jim and Jim. And I think Bobby Lee summed it up pretty good, Jimmy. I don't think that Albion could have played much better, and I don't think Hope could have played much worse in that first half.
Well, and something that Milton Barnes also said, Jim, I asked him, put your coach hat on. What do you tell the guys to start this second half? You can use the emotional high of a day like senior day, and you can expend a lot of that emotion, a lot of that energy on the defensive end. And sometimes what that'll do is that'll spur you on the offensive end, and sometimes that'll gas you.
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
What they can't play much better defensively than they played in the first half, which really I believe is the cause for why Hope didn't play as well as they could in that first half. They definitely missed shots.
Yeah,
the statistics bear that out. There's no question that Hope did not shoot well in that first half. But you have to credit the defense for the Britons. And now you have to hope that they bring that same intensity, that same energy level in the second half. They're going to have to, because Hope's going to go on a run.
Got to believe those first 5 or 6 minutes are critical right now for the Britons. First half team stats, the Britons shot almost 53%, 19 from 36 from the floor. They were at 37.5% from behind the arc, 6 for 16, hit both of their free throw shots. On the other side of the ledger there, the Flying Dutchman only hit 29%, 9 for 31 from the floor, 27% from distance, 3 for 11. Missed all 4 free throws, and in fact they're all 4 missed by the same guy, basically, which is amazing because Preston Granger hit 7 out of 10. He missed all 4 in that first half. So it just was one of those situations here where the Brits played extremely well, and we'll see how it goes to open up this second half.
Well, if you look at the extended stats that Bobby Lee generously provided us, the Britons are 3 of 7 in the paint, 9 of 10 from inside the circle. Hope only 2 of 12 in the paint and 2 of 4 from inside the circle on the up-close shots within 2 feet. So 2 of 12 from normally safe territory. You don't expect that trend to continue in the second half. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with the credit to the Britons on defense. They're swarming the ball, getting the deflections, and they're frustrating the Hope Flying Dutchman and making them use extra time and extra energy on the offensive end.
James Davis will bring the ball up in the front court, give it off to M.J. Barnes. Arshawn Parker driving to the left side. We'll set the lineups here for you in just a minute. Britain's outscored the Dutchman 24-8 in the paint in that first half, Jim. What an amazing start. Ebling gets rid of the basketball.
Count it!
And it goes home.
Held on to him for about 7 seconds right there, and then finally decided to go ahead and just toss the shot up, and the official was waiting, bless his heart, to blow that whistle. And I'm not sure what he was waiting for, because they were promenading all the way through the paint right there, but he got the and one opportunity, got the shot to drop, and now you have a couple of confused Flying Dutchmen underneath, and you have Ebling going to the line for an and one.
It's Barnes, Parker, Davis, Fordham, and Ebling starting the basketball game for the Britons here in this second half as Ebling completes the three-point play.
It's as good a start as you can get to the second half. You get a good possession, you get a foul, you get a three-point play.
Beckman, Towns, Lewis, Ray, and Granger will open things up for the Flying Dutchman as that ball gets bounced away.
Got the hand.
James L. will get called for the foul on the reach-in. That's his first here of the afternoon. And
that
Jason,
left elbow of Granger, and Granger kind of wincing a little bit after that.
Jason Beckman inbounds the basketball to Riley Lewis.
I think he'll be okay, though.
I think he'll be fine.
He's a tough guy.
Lewis finds his way all the way to the rim and then can't make it go in.
3 Britons around the basket for the rebound, Jim. Good effort.
I'll tell you what, you know, they've won 4 in a row. Is this just that situation where the odds catch up with you and you're going to have that bad afternoon?
Well, they're having it so far. The Britons just have to continue to take advantage.
Ball gets tossed into Ebling, but it gets knocked out of bounds by Preston Granger, and it will stay with the Britons.
Again, there's no quit in that young man's game. It may not be happening on offense for him, but he's not letting it slip on the defensive end.
12 seconds to shoot as Davis inbounds to Ebling.
Ebling going to try to break his man down.
Back outside and then right back into the paint for
nice
Ebling, and a left-hand hook. Makes it a 5-0 run to open things up for the Britons.
He's got all 5.
Yeah.
Ebling, that's tough to guard right there. A righty going with the left hand on a fall away.
Granger and Ebling, nose to nose.
Pushing with the arm.
Fordham comes in, grabs a hold of the basketball. It's a jump ball situation, but the arrow's pointing towards the Flying Dutchman.
And you can see the frustration on Granger's face. Teammate trying to tap his hand right there, and Granger kind of just waves him away. I mean, that's what the good defense does. It gets under your skin and annoys you. And now he's going to take a seat, and Coach sees it on his face, too.
Jeff Gorel comes into the ball game. You're right. Coach says, hey,
come sit down for a minute.
Big fella's not having the afternoon we were hoping as Towns gets in deep. And again, it hits the back of the iron and comes out. Boy, they don't miss those very often. Davis with the scoop, no good. Ball tipped out of bounds. Who to go off of? Off the Brits. It'll be
that went off a Brit.
Flying Dutchman basketball. Jalen Fordham maybe with that tip out. Nope, it would have been either Davis or Arshawn Parker that knocked that one out underneath.
But again, it's selling out for the loose ball.
It is.
You can't ask for anything more effort-wise. That's what you want if you're Coach May. How did they respond to losing 2 in a row? So far, so good.
3-point jumper from the left side, spins in and out.
Tipped it.
Man, Jeff Gorel thought he had an easy lay-in, and he got his pockets picked. Fordham all the way to the other end, puts it up.
Got an and one.
Beckman says, hold it, man. I was inside the circuit. And a blocking foul will go against him.
Oh, he's saying and one. Yes, sir.
Bucket will count as the official comes over to get an earful from Coach Mitchell.
And I think he might have a case on that one, but you don't use instant replay, so you can't go back and review that call.
Either way, Jalen Fordham.
Yeah, it had to be a continuation.
Will get one free throw, and he also completes that three-point play, and that is 11 now for Fordham on the afternoon, and the Britons up 54-21. Boy, who'd have seen this one coming?
Gorel. Contact there, no call. And it's 2-1 foul, so it's not like they're not getting called.
Arshawn Parker says, it's just our afternoon, fellas. Get out of my way, Riley Lewis. This one's going in, 56-21.
Hope looks out of sync today, Jim.
They really do. End of the corner. The jump shot is up the right iron, no good, and the rebound comes off to the Britons. Davis pushing through the double team to the corner. Barnes, no good. That one almost went down, and Lewis is there with the rebound.
You can do that with the lead you have, but you don't want to rely on it.
Three-point shot by Beckman as Jason Beckman says, okay, here's how we're going to get back into this thing. I've only got 10 so far. I've got 10 more coming at least.
But their first bucket of the half?
Yeah, very first bucket of the half.
3 minutes in.
Davis pulls it back outside. You don't want to do anything different than what you've been doing if you're the Britons right now.
No.
Just keep attacking.
Hard-nosed defense.
Parker
nice screen.
Gets around the screen of Ebling and a wide open lay-in at the rim. That's 4 for Parker now in the afternoon.
And again, no help defense by Hope.
Britons with a double team. They'll get the reach on Jason Beckman, who would have had the lay-in. Good reach in, good call, and the Flying Dutchman about to sub in. Jake Honer and also Preston Granger back in after a little conversation on the sideline with the coach to get him a little bit more focused.
Steve Jewell and other members of the Jewell family are tuning in Beaver Creek, Ohio this weekend. They say, keep it up, Brits.
Ball gets thrown out of bounds. Granger thought Riley Lewis was heading to the corner for a three-point shot. Teddy Ray, I should say, and Ray was heading towards the bucket. And that ball found its way to the bleachers on the other end. Arshon between his legs. Cuts the double team. Kicks it to the corner.
Yes.
Oh, man. When it's going, it's going. Dylan Bennett now with 12 on the afternoon. Yep.
Senior day. That's his second or third three, I believe.
What a job. I think that's 4. I think all 4 of his points are all three-point shots this afternoon.
Well, leave him open. You pay the price.
Yep. How many times has he made that shot in that corner over 4 years here at Albion is what I'm going to ask. How's that, huh? Riley Lewis with a jump shot from the free throw line goes down. 61-28. That's 5 now for Lewis on the afternoon. 61-26.
And again, the Britons are answering these makes, so they're not letting Hope get off to a 5-6-0 run.
Almost 5 minutes into this second half. And the Britons are up 25. Davis had it knocked away. Out to Bennett. Bennett off the front iron, but Ebling's there for the putback, but he can't get it to go down.
Point blank.
And the rebound comes off to Teddy Ray. And a whistle in the lane.
Ebling.
So Caden Ebling with his third now in the afternoon. And here comes the big fella, Ryan Lowe, back into the ball game.
Can you give me about 5-6 more good minutes, young man?
That's all you're after right at this point in time.
Because, boy, when he came out in the starting lineup, there was no answer for him.
And Sam Vree checks in to match the height, but Vree again giving up about 50 pounds. Lowe with a hand in Beckman's face, but Beckman at the free throw line knocks it home.
That's a tough shot. Good fadeaway.
Well, that senior has put in his days in the MIAA as well.
He's been pretty automatic today.
Arshon Parker lobs into Ryan Lowe. The double team coming.
Yep,
ball gets kicked away.
That's what was lacking in the first half, is they'd clear out and nobody would help.
Beckman goes end to end for the lay-in, just like that. You've got Jason Beckman starting to believe that this basketball team can get back into the ball game. 21-point cushion now.
They absolutely can.
31-point cushion, I'm sorry.
They absolutely can. Yeah, it's a big lead, and they would ask them to score more points the rest of the game than they've scored so far, but
Parker cuts along the baseline.
They're not going to quit on you.
Oh, the pass to a wide open Ryan Lowe. Lowe was all by himself down there waiting for that pass, but they didn't see him. By the time they got there, it was a difficult pass to throw, and it went off his hands and out of bounds.
Usually you just
how do you miss that big guy?
You don't want to have him hopping up and down and make the defense that aware that he's that open. Just want to go.
Britt's still shooting almost 56% compared to 33% here for the Flying Dutchman. And again, a pass to the corner that does get saved nicely by the Flying Dutchman. Jump shot is good for 3. Riley Lewis find in the distance. That's 8 now for Lewis on the afternoon.
Playing like they have really nothing to lose. That's why all of a sudden these off-balance shots are starting to drop. You haven't played any worse, so now it can only get better.
You got to give that credit to Honer that time to be able to go dig that ball out. It looked like it was going out of bounds.
Good steal.
Bad pass, good steal. Other end goes short.
A lot of contact.
And then taken away. Three-point shot is blocked as Dylan Bennett says, hey, I too can play this game. Beckman fires, no good, and Bennett again for the rebound.
That's a push, a frustration foul going against Dylan Bennett.
So Bennett kind of felt like he got shoved a little bit. That's his first of the afternoon.
Yep, and he's letting the emotion of the game right there get to him.
Here comes Danny Beckman into the basketball game for the Flying Dutchman into the floor. Riley Lewis will go to the bench. 28-point basketball game as this
deflection.
Tipped away,
find the ball.
fought for. Ball still loose. Fordham tried to come up with it.
Got a foul.
Flying Dutchman do come up with the basketball, and the foul will go against the Brits. Jake Honer again, I'll tell you what, you got to like that young fella and the effort he's putting in. The sophomore has come in and made a couple of big plays here for the Flying Dutchman.
It's getting very emotional for a 28-point game.
Here we go. Britain's going to call a timeout and try to reorganize just a little bit. I think that's a good idea.
Yep. Yeah, I think at this point, Jim, you have to settle things down. Both of these teams are not playing like it's a 28-point game. And I'm thinking back to something Milton said at halftime is I asked him, what do you do if you're the Britons? Another thing he said was you have to wipe off the score. You almost have to treat it like it's 0-0. And both of these teams are playing like it's the first half and it was 0-0.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
They're really scrapping out there. It's exciting to watch, but you just can't let the emotion overtake you.
Trying to get up on the scoreboard here. Adrian beats Kalamazoo this afternoon 80-77 in a ball game that started an hour earlier than everybody else. Adrian now goes to 2-11 on the season. And Kalamazoo, who was one of the teams who was fighting for that last spot into the tournament, may go wanting here this season. I don't know. We'll have to look up and catch this Alma Trine game here in a minute as well.
How about the Bulldogs, Jim?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
We thought they were due.
That's a basketball team that has some players, again, that'll come out and hustle with you. Nate Collins enters the lineup and pulls down a rebound on the missed shot. Arshawn Parker will bring it to the front court.
What Hope's giving you on defense with the loose balls, that's a hold. That's staying here, yep. Had the hand on the shoulder. What Hope's giving you with the loose balls and on defense in the second half is what the Britons were doing in the first half. So it's good to see that hustle. But again, in that case, he had his hand on Lowe's shoulder and kind of turned that shoulder when he went to fight for position.
James L. Davis, Quentin Armstrong checks in for the Britons right now. Ryan Lowe sits down with Arshawn Parker. Trine now back to being Trine again. 47-37 over Alma. 13 minutes to go in the ball game there. Long pass to Winston gets tipped away. They'll fight for it. And it will be Flying Dutchman basketball as 3 dark blue jerseys make their way into that front court. This has been a very, very active basketball game, especially in this second half, as the Flying Dutchman kind of shook off the cobwebs after that first half, and they're back in the game. Yeah, I wouldn't say that 28 down, but they are making at least a little bit of a dent on that lead.
Not for lack of effort.
4 seconds, 3 seconds. Beckman goes to the rim, and at 1 second is it able to find the glass and knock that one in. That's 16 now for Beckman.
Took that long stride. Looked like it might have been 3 steps going to the basket, but it was just a long 2.
Give him that Euro step, I guess, here in this afternoon, right? One of those?
I don't like using that phrase. Nice ball fake.
Davis gets to the glass and bounces it off the square for a bucket, and that's the answer that you're looking for if you're a Briton.
Have to have it.
3-point try is good.
Now we have
by
a contest.
Danny Beckman. And it's a 25-point basketball game.
This is why it was so important to build that early lead, though.
Yeah, it really was.
You can withstand the runs, and if you just play focused, you should walk out of here with a victory.
Into Quentin Armstrong.
There you go.
Turn around for an easy one off the glass here at the Kresge.
That's kind of what Hope's defense was in the first half right there. They allowed a clear out, and there was no help. Nice spin.
Beckman spins and can't get that one to go in. Ball will get knocked out of bounds by Dylan Bennett going after the ball. Caden Ebling about to check back in. Quentin Armstrong will get a breather.
Man, if this is any indication of what the MIAA postseason tournament's going to be over in Angola, then go ahead and buy your ticket now and enjoy a night of 2 nights of fun basketball. This is going to be fun.
Dennis Towns comes in for Ryan Gamm. Jump shot's no good. Rebound comes off to Bennett, who rips it in like he's grabbing a gold bar there for a minute. Davis looks like he's going to shoot, then gives it off to Winston. Winston puts it on the floor, kicks it over to Collins in the corner.
Yes.
And Nate Collins says, hey, it's my senior day too. That's 7 for Nathaniel Collins this afternoon.
A good speed to help.
Britain's got back on defense extremely well. Beckman again pulls up, no good. Collins lost the handle, then got it back. Towns undercut him.
Incidental contact, but enough that you have to call it.
Yep. And Coach Greg Mitchell over here telling an entirely different story the way he saw it down there underneath the bucket that time.
I saw a shoulder go into a young man and a young man go flying. I don't know. Maybe the two were related. Maybe they weren't. I'm going to go with they were because they called a foul.
68-38. Brits back on top by 30 here. 10.5 to play in the basketball game.
It needs to stay at about 30 to make me feel comfortable because, boy, you know Hopes do.
Winston drives the baseline and finds Ebling for the easy lay-in. Wow, 32-point cushion here this afternoon.
If they're playing this well today, Jim, just imagine if they had home court through the whole tournament.
Wouldn't that be fun to be hosting this one here at the Kresge this weekend? Next weekend, Dennis Towns.
They also showed when they went to Angola last weekend that, I mean, they had a shot.
They really did.
They had a shot with a good look at a 3 by James L. They could very well be the 1 seed. So, I mean, it's not like it's a gimme for trying.
Ball goes into Ebling on the low block, and Caden says, give me a chance to right myself, and I'll go right over top of you, Mr. Towns, for the 2.
Timeout.
Timeout goes to the Flying Dutchman here on a Saturday afternoon where they trail by 32.
Britain Bound is a visit program designed for admitted students to get a feeling of what it is like to be an Albion College student for a day. Britain Bound programs are scheduled for Monday the 18th, this coming Monday, also Friday, March 15th, and Monday, April 15th. Visit albion.edu/admission to register.
And again, the Britons shooting 57% this afternoon, Jim, 28 of 49. Well, they just updated 58.8, 30 of 51. And the Flying Dutchman, 33%, 17 of 51. This is a basketball team that on the season shoots almost 50% from the floor, shoots 41% from behind the arc, and today 33% from the floor, 32% from behind the arc as they're 6 for 19. Brits 8 of 20 at 40% from downtown, hit all 4 free throws, and it still Hope missed all 4 free throws. 7 turnovers for the Britons, 6 for the Flying Dutchman, 11 points off turnovers for the Dutchman, 7 for the Britons. And the Britons out rebounding the Dutchman 35-22.
This is a team also Hope that scores 80 points a game but gives up 78.
Yeah.
So there's no margin for error, and in a game like today, they're getting their average on defense it's going to end up being, but on offense it's just an uncharacteristically bad day. You know, teams are going to have those from time to time, and this was probably about the worst possible time to pick that bad day if you're the Flying Dutchman.
Well, a loss today and a win by Calvin tonight, and they will end up being the number 4 seed in the tournament.
So still host the game.
And they will host Olivet, and Calvin then will host.
Oh, good defense.
Oh, Towns with an even better offense. Wow, that young fella just stayed with it, kept that pivot foot down, and measured the distance to their rim.
2 players who just tipped their cap to each other right there. You can't ask Caden Ebling to do anything more on defense, Jim.
Nope, not at all. 9 minutes to play in this ball game. Collins from the left corner, no good, and the rebound is pulled off by the Flying Dutchman. Do they have enough time to cut into a 30-point lead? That's the question right now as Jason Dietz comes in for the Flying Dutchman off that last break. Oh, man, they've had so many that have bounced around and come out. Riley Lewis finally says, you know what? I finally got that bounce to stay home.
Just want to make sure that ball fits in the basket.
That one didn't look like it was going to get to the rim. A lot of them have gotten to the rim, but have just been too hard or just in the wrong side. Collins from the same spot again. Oh, and that one came out. And Towns is over the top of Ebling to pull down the rebound.
That same soft touch didn't drop for the Britons that time.
Looked like that was going to be 2 in a
Nice
row.
pass.
Oh, and Towns gave up the 2. Sent it back outside for 3. No good.
Got knocked down.
Bennett
through.
Pulls it back in.
Surprised no call there, Jim?
Not the way this has been called here this afternoon.
They're letting them play.
They are letting them play. That was a fallback jumper as well, so he was heading backwards. If he'd have was going forward with that one, I think he'd have gotten the call. Winston drives and it's cut off. Kicks back outside to Parker. Parker with that left hand gets all the way to the baseline, then kicks it to the corner. Bennett goes to the wing. Couldn't get the ball off in time. 30-second buzzer goes off, and the ball goes over to the Flying Dutchman, who played some pretty good defense that time.
Webcast at albion.edu. Shoot us a message and let know where you're watching. We'd love to say hi to you on the air.
72-44 Britons. 7.5 to play. They've led all the way.
Got to pass that one.
Dutchmen have not led yet this afternoon as Beckman pulls the trigger on a 3-point shot. Ball gets tipped out by Ebling, but it's retrieved there by the Dutchman. That's Calvin Hackert. And a whistle and a hook on the underneath side.
Yep. Use that free arm to grab around the waist and pull back right there.
That is a call that has been controversial on all levels of basketball this year because it has been a point of emphasis on college basketball. That hook and pin that you used to get away with oftentimes in the past this year is one that draws an automatic whistle. Let's see, quick check on individual scores here while we have a minute or two in this basketball game. It is Caden Ebling with 13 now for the Britons to lead all Britons, 12 for Dylan Bennett. Fordham with 11, Armstrong with 8, Ryan Lowe got 8 all in the first 5 minutes of this basketball game. Nate Collins with 7, James L. Davis with 6, Arshwan Parker with 4, and Austin Thompson with 3 for the Britons this afternoon. On the other side, the Flying Dutchman, Jason Beckman getting his. He averages 20, he has 16. Dennis Towns with 10, Riley Lewis with 8, Danny Beckman with 3, 3 for Teddy Ray, 2 for Sam Bree, and 2 for Preston Granger. And I guess that is the part as well, Jim, that's a little surprising, just to have that many scorers on the Flying Dutch side, and then to take a look at the points that they normally get. I mean, Dennis Towns, he's about where he normally is. Riley Lewis scores 18 a night. He's got 8. So they've done a wonderful job here on him. Teddy Ray with 3 this afternoon. Teddy Ray normally averages 9. So they're holding most of this Flying Dutch team well below their season average.
And if you look at from a team standpoint for Hope, who's the most likely to start throwing up the threes to make up the difference? Riley Lewis is your guy. On the season, 173 three-point attempts coming into today's game.
Not afraid to check it up from out deep.
Not at all.
Must have shot a lot out in the backyard when he was a kid or something. I'm not sure. Arshwan Parker has the double team.
Good steal.
Very nice steal. Then Arshwan takes it back. Jason Dietz couldn't get the handle. Parker could. 3-point jumper, Fordham. Yep, there you go.
Did call that a change of possession, so the shot clock kept winding, but it was no problem.
14 for the afternoon for Jalen Fordham here on this senior Saturday afternoon at the Kresge. And the Britons with a 31-point cushion.
Nice pass.
Towns patient, and then Fordham knocks it away, and then the reach over the top will be against Jalen Fordham. But again, Jimmy, we've said this all along. There's not a guy in this conference that can get up in the air any higher than Jalen Fordham can. And in fact, they're going to give that one to Davis. James L. wasn't there, was he?
Well, obviously he was at the officials.
They got him. He must have been the guy on the underside as I was watching 20 sky up into the air. That's one on Davis right now. They might, yep, they're not going to change it. That's where it is. Davis picks up his first. Team foul number 6 now on the Britons, so the next one will send the Flying Dutchman to the free throw line.
Again, only 19 of 57 so far from the floor. 31 of 55 for the Britons.
Ball comes into Jason Dietz.
Was deflected, I think.
Tries to get it to Towns,
they're
but it
saying
goes
that
out
was
of
just a bad
bounds.
pass. Yeah, I thought that was deflected, but
They've been that way all afternoon, though, Jim. You know, they've had a half a dozen times where they just didn't look like they were on the same page. And again, you have those afternoons every now and then. Armstrong was open at the bottom, but Towns was the one that was able to knock it away.
tried the no-look pass right there, but good defense by Hope. And a strip back. Run
Here
out.
comes a run out for Arshwan Parker for the lay-in. No showboating this afternoon. Guaranteed buckets, and it's 33 now with 5:49 to play in this ball game.
Yep. Stat sheet doesn't care how you get the 2, just matters that you get the 2.
Parker playing some good defense on the other end as well against Riley Lewis. Ball goes to Towns at the free throw line. He'll fall away with 8 to shoot.
A 1-foot fall away shot right there.
Davis pulls the ball back in for the Brits. Show and go for Arshwan. No look to Collins in the corner. And Daniel Collins makes it an 80-44 game.
I did not think we were going to see
No.
this today. I'm happy we're seeing it, but I did not think we were going to see this today. I thought it was going to be a tight one.
I did too. We're going to bring some players off the bench here in just a minute.
Got
Whistle
the body on the
floor.
way up. I think they'll get Arshon on that one.
Austin Thompson, another one of those seniors that started the ball game this afternoon, about to check back in.
It looks
And
like Nate Davis and Matt Zanstra also getting ready to check in, as is number 40, Bill Woodhams. I think that might be his first game action.
Well, I think it's to the point now where Coach Mitchell says, you know what, 5 minutes to go.
No mas.
Down 36. James L. Davis will check out, probably for his last time.
Save your energy for the tournament as the number 2 seed, because that's what's happening today, folks.
Shots missed, with Quentin Armstrong's there to pick the ball up off the floor. Thompson to Fordham. He'll cut the double and find an easy lay-in. Man, I wish I could get off the ground like that young fella can, huh? Not even with a ladder.
I wish I were that fast and that I could jump that high.
Timeout on the floor as the Britons about to substitute Ryan Lowe back into the game and Matt Zanstra back into the ball game here for the Flying Dutchman here this afternoon. As a timeout, full timeout called here. And I'll tell you what, let's see if we can go over to the MIAA page real quick and catch you any updates that are out there this afternoon. Again, as we said,
82-45 here, Jim. While you are getting some MIAA updates, we'll let folks know that Jason Beckman leads Hope with 16 points. Dennis Towns has 10. Riley Lewis has 9 for the Britons. Jalen Fordham leads them with 16. 13 for Caden Ebeling, 12 for Dylan Bennett, all on threes. And Nate Collins has 10 points. A lot of players have scored for the Britons. You got to love the depth.
trying up on Alma 74-45, so that means that KZoo and Alma, who are both 4-9 going into this afternoon, are going to end up the year at 4-10. And I don't know who has head-to-head against those two guys. We'll have to do a little digging for you. One of those two are going to be the number 6 team, and they are going to have to travel in and play Calvin if Calvin wins tonight, or Hope if Calvin loses. Nice jump shot by Jason Dietz. Makes it 82-48.
Got an email from a guy named Ken Reeker a moment ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Said it might be a chalupa day. All I know is Lavoie won't buy. So.
Yeah, so you're going to have to come back and buy him there, Reeker, is what I'm just telling you. Down to the corner, Fordham throws up the three, no good. Lowe pulls down the rebound and is fouled on his way back up.
Foul probably go against Woodhams, who just checked in. That'll be his first. Send Lowe to the line for a pair.
Well, it has been a shocker this afternoon here at the Kresge.
Lowe, a 46% free throw shooter, has not tried a lot of free throws, but that one rims off. But he's had a really good day, though. Got the senior start and made an immediate impact. Was an impossible guard for Preston Granger and really for Hope in general. They had no answer for him down low.
And this one will stay in. It's a senior afternoon here at the Kresge. Everything that the seniors are touching are going to gold for the Britons this afternoon.
Just a great team effort.
It has been.
Coach May has to be ecstatic about the way today's played out.
Low with the pressure. Shots missed by Woodhams, but he got it back. Zandstra jumps, no good. Rebound bounced around, stays with the Dutchman. Ball gets thrown out. Saved by a couple of Dutchmen, and then thrown away by Danny Beckman. First was Nate Davis that saved it. Scoop shot. Yeah, there you go. You want to know what kind of afternoon it's been? I think that pretty well sums it up right there. It's been that kind of afternoon for the Britons. 5 points now on the day for Austin Thompson. Nathaniel Collins pulls it down. Arshawn Parker will bring it to the front court.
There's just no stopping. There's no rest.
It just moves, baby. That's, again, young legs, and a whistle on the other end will go against the Britons.
I have to think if you coach May at some point, you tell the young men, hey, it's okay to bleed the clock a little bit.
Slow this down just a smidge. 3:11 to play. This one definitely in the bag already. 37-point cushion as Nate Collins will get a hand. Senior come to the sideline after a big afternoon.
They're taking it literally, though, that the scoreboard said 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now it's okay to look at the scoreboard and see that you're up big. Now you can relax just a little bit. But I love the effort.
And the shot is missed. Here we go. Alma beat Kalamazoo at Alma, so we'll figure this whole thing out as well. Jump shot's no good. Rebound comes off to Beckman. He'll go end to end.
Just don't foul.
Put back no good, and the rebound comes off to Dylan Bennett, who has been a workhorse on that defensive glass this afternoon. Thompson a little too long. He goes out of bounds.
You can just see the excitement in these young men's faces, though. Every trip down the floor, there's no letting off the gas. These guys want to put it into that higher gear, and they want to make it happen.
Dylan Bennett now checks out. Arshawn Parker checks out as the seniors get a hand here at the Kresge this afternoon.
Crowd on their feet saying thank you to the seniors.
Well, here you go. Kalamazoo and Alma split on the year, Jimmy, so I'm not exactly sure where you go from there. How's that?
By golly, somebody's going to have to be the number 6 seed, whether you like it or not.
If you go by total points against one another head-to-head, it would be Kalamazoo, who had a couple more points in their win than what Alma did. But one of those two will be the number 6 team and have to travel here on Wednesday night. Wherever they're going to go, it'll either be Calvin or it'll be Hope. Whistle, and again, what kind of day it's been? That's exactly the kind of day it's been for the Flying Dutchman this afternoon. That one looked like Matt Zandstra had an and one opportunity, and it slid around the iron and slid right out. And this one is good. And you want to talk about the young guy who was a hero in the JV game, Jawan Perry, 22, checked in on that last time out. He's all on that free throw line. Both free throws are good. And I think at the next break, we're going to get a chance to bring Ryan Lowe out as well.
Give him that round of applause. He was a difference in that big stretch in that first half.
You know, it's one of those things with Thompson and Lowe on the floor right now, both the seniors and Fordham. I think they both would like to be able to hang around a little longer. There goes Lowe for the bucket and play the rest of the game. But it's also nice to bring him out, and that's what they're going to do right now, is bring him out, call the timeout, and allow him to come out and allow the crowd to say thanks for 4 great years. Ryan Lowe with a big game this afternoon coming out.
Austin Thompson also checking out one last time.
And the only senior left on the floor right now wears number 20. And I'm sure he's coming out soon. 2:09 to play here in this basketball game. And like I said, as a senior, you love coming out to the applause, but it's the last couple of minutes you've gotten a chance to play basketball here at the Kresge. And I think if you ask them all, they'd like to stay in and play it right to the last second. Whistle on the putback will send Jason Dietz to the free throw line.
And you want to make them meaningful minutes too. And that's, I think, been the most exciting part of watching the seniors on the floor today is every senior that's been out there, every minute they've played, it's been a meaningful minute, and it's had a huge impact on this game.
And here comes the last one off the floor right now as Devin Holmes will check in and Jalen Fordham will get a well-deserved high five and a big hug from the coach, Jody Meeks. What a basketball game for the Britons this afternoon. 87-52. 1:50 to play in the game. Zach Winston brings it into the front court. And now I would think, Jim, that they'll probably work on that clock. Ball gets tipped away out of bounds and will stay with the Britons.
No.
Oh, no, it won't.
I thought they were setting a high screen and roll right there and trying to get Benjamin Zika in there low. I thought that was tipped out of bounds by the Flying Dutchman, but this will go back to them.
Didn't see anybody in a white jersey that tapped that one, at least with these two old eyes on my quadrifocals. Nice turnaround jump shot goes in for Nate Davis. Davis has his first two of the afternoon, and it cuts the lead down to 33. Juwan Perry, who made that three-point shot that gets called for the travel. He just ran out of real estate, Jim. Nice job trying to cut him off right there by Tyler George. Just didn't give him anywhere to go.
One defender trying to fight through a screen. The other one kind of dives in there and takes that poke at the ball, forces him to take that extra step.
Long three won't go down. Rebound comes off to the Brits. Now we're under a minute. 25 on the shot clock, 53 on the game clock. So they'll get the ball one more time, no matter what happens. Winston inside, 13 to shoot. Jump shot catches nothing. Rebound comes off to the Flying Dutch. Brits should get it back with about 9 at the very worst, but instead the lob pass is an easy 2 for Jason Dietz, and now for Dietz at 7.
About a 2-second difference between game clock and shot clock, and I can't see anybody on Hope really too concerned about that at this point, because you're not gonna, there's no 31-point basket.
Not at all. Britons fans see the clock winding down. They're standing up. The Hope fans, well, they're a little disappointed on this afternoon.
Yep, they travel well, though, and I expect them to be in Angola.
No doubt about that. They will allow the 30-second clock to expire and give the ball back with 1.3 seconds left to go to the Flying Dutchman. They'll fire a shot off. Wouldn't have counted even if it would have gone, and the Britons win 87-56 this afternoon. Whew, what a surprise.
So an 87-56 victory. Welcome sight and a great way for Coach Jody May and his young men to be prepared to lock that number 2 seed down. It's what we were hoping for on the drive up here. Is you knew if you won, you would be the number 2 seed. You'd get to go to Angola, a place where you know you can win. And if you give an effort like they did today, that's going to be a tough team to beat in the MIAA tournament. But most importantly, they get that rest now. They're not playing for 6 days, and they're going to be ready for Friday night going to Trine.
We'll go the opposite side right now. We've not checked in on how the women are doing all day long, so we'll flip the scoreboard over on the MIAA scoreboard right now. We'll see if we can't find out how the Lady Britons are doing this afternoon. Let's see. A final Alma beats Adrian 64-51. Trine beats Kalamazoo 95-55. 84-33. Hope just rolling over Olivet. And I have no score, so we'll go to live stats here 71-58. Britons on top of St. Mary's this afternoon. So a good afternoon to be a Briton, whether you're rooting for the men or rooting for the ladies here this afternoon. Both sides going extremely well. Thinking about that women's side now, that sits the Britons up on the women's side in that number 3 spot, okay, as they will be the number 3 seed, and they will be hosting on Tuesday night the play-in game. And we'll have to see who that who the opponent will be, because they will be the 3rd, and they will, thank you, Mr. Bob, they will end up picking up the number 6 team, who is either going to be St. Mary's again or Calvin, okay, that'll be coming to town on Tuesday night to play a play-in game. Obviously trying the number 1 team in the conference on that side, had it wrapped up coming into today, and Hope number 2 at 13-2 on the season, and they will be the number 1 and number 2 seeds. And I don't know how they'll work this tournament over at Trine this weekend, because you'll have both men and women playing over at Angola on Saturday. So it should be an interesting scheduling dilemma for the folks at Trine. That's what you get, man. You should have lost that game to us a week ago, and you wouldn't have to worry about trying to figure out how to schedule men and women at the same time.
Well, something tells me that that's a good problem, that they don't mind having to host the men's and women's tournaments. That's just excellence on both sides of the ball. But, you know, especially on the men's side, man, I'm telling you, the way the Britons played them last week, had a shot to win it late, and the way they played today, if this team shows up that hungry next weekend, it's not going to be easy to go chalk all the way through that tournament.
You know what? We said this a couple of times as this year played out. There is no real clear-cut number 1 in the MIAA this year.
No.
You honestly have 5 teams, when you throw Olivet in the mix, that could get hot at the end of this season and find their way in that championship game on Saturday at Trine. And who knows, from there they throw it up and they play it out. Let's look at some final stats on the afternoon as a team. Basically, this afternoon, the Britons just on fire. They shot 45% from the free throw line. They shot 28. That was the only place that they really had any kind of problems this afternoon. 5 of 11. They were 32% from the, I think we got these backwards, don't we?
Yeah,
I got them back. I've got them backwards.
Guy.
That's Hope on the top. My bad. Let's go down to the other side. 56% for the Britons from the floor today, 40% from behind the arc, and 83% from the free throw line. There you go. I got them right this time. For Hope, it was just a very un-Hope-like afternoon. 32% from the floor, 28% from downtown, 45% from the free throw line. It was a tough first half, as Hope only shot 29% from the floor in that first half, 27% from behind the arc, and didn't hit a free throw in the first half. The Britons basically just kind of came out, took control of things, and just rolled with it. They led by as many as 37 this afternoon. Hope never had a lead in the afternoon. The best scoring run of the afternoon for Hope was at the 12-19 mark in that second half, where they rolled off 11. That's exactly the same number for the Britons. They pulled it off, though, in the first half at the 4:34 mark. So you had a situation where both teams had a little bit of a run, but by the time the Hope Flying Dutchman got to their run, Jim, they were well behind.
Yeah, you look at, I mean, the biggest statistic really, Jim, is points in the paint. That's your ball game right there. Albion's advantage, points in the paint, 50-20 plus 30, and your final score was plus 31.
Man.
So if you want a quick synopsis of the game, the Britons got it done in the paint. Hope left a lot of points on the board, and you have to credit the Britons' defense all game long, getting in, getting those deflections, not giving them easy looks. And really in that first half, you saw long stretches where the Flying Dutchmen weren't helping on defense. You had clear outs, and you had guys like Ryan Lowe and Caden Ebeling down low. Even the guards were slashing, and there was no help defense. In the second half, they started to address that, they being Hope, but really they kind of went away from it again. And that's the communication breakdown that you can't have, and thankfully today the Britons didn't have. They were all over that basketball, swarming to it, helping out, making life difficult, and that cumulative total, that effect, it really threw Hope off their game, and it had a lasting impact, I believe. It wore them down, got them frustrated, and they were able to cruise to the victory.
No doubt about that. 44 rebounds to 34 rebounds for the Britons this afternoon. They were up 46-21 at the end of the first half. And so it was a wire-to-wire finish here for the Britons this afternoon. Individual stats here this afternoon for the Britons scoring-wise. They were led by 16 for Jalen Fordham this afternoon, 12 for Dylan Bennett, 11 for Ryan Lowe, 10 for Nate Collins this afternoon, 5 for Austin Thompson, 13 for Caden Ebling, 8 points for Quentin Armstrong this afternoon, and a very well-rounded afternoon of basketball for the Brits. And then you go to the other side. Jason Beckman did get his 16 this afternoon. Dennis Towns only with 8. Preston Granger with 2. And I'll tell you, Preston looked like he just had a bad afternoon. And we'll talk to the coach a little bit about that one here in just a minute. Riley Lewis with 9 this afternoon. 3 for Teddy Ray, 2 for Sam Bree, 2 for Calvin Hackert. And just not a Hope-like afternoon when you start to look at some of the numbers that they had, especially when you get to the shooting percentages, where they shot 32% from the floor, and that's because they came out in the second half and played much better basketball, 28% from behind the arc, and only 45% from the free throw line. Those numbers in the first two are right around that 50% mark most of the year. So a good job by Jody May's basketball team this afternoon as we welcome him into the broadcast booth. Coach, you know, we thought you could win today, but, you know, that was a little bit of a different ball game this afternoon. I didn't think it was going to be by quite as many. You look pretty good. I think you got to be pretty happy.
No, nobody thinks it's going to be that much.
What was the difference today? What you guys, it's senior day. You know, obviously, you started all your seniors, and, man, they got you off to a great start.
They did. I think it's number one, I think the seniors had something to prove.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guys played at Hope because we had some injuries, and they know they didn't perform very well in our last game against Hope. And so I think they had something to prove there. Plus, it's somewhat emotional for them being their last home regular season game. And, so I just think that they were ready to play.
Yeah.
I think Hope is a very good basketball team. I don't think that they're that bad of a team, but on this particular day, we were pretty good, and they weren't very good today. And, I think but it's just a credit to our seniors. They got us off to a great start. We were ready to play.
Your defense today was as good as we've seen you play in the 4 years now that we've been coming and watching this thing. What was the difference? The double team early on in that ball game did not allow any of these guys, especially when you take a look at down inside, man, that you did not allow the ball to get into the low post at all. And it seemed like any place that ball was touching a young fella's hands from Hope, there were 2 Britons all over him all day.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily that we said we're going to go out and double, but we wanted guys around them. And, we didn't – in the first time we played, we just thought we gave up way too many very easy layup baskets. And, so there were – we wanted guys around them because I think that they can score some easy ones. They set some ball screens and roll, and it forces you to rotate, and we didn't do a very good job the first time, and so we were very conscientious of that today, and I think they did a good job of executing the game plan.
Boy, no doubt about that. 50 points in the paint today, Coach. 50-20. There's 30 points. That's about the game right there.
Yep. Well, and, offensively we wanted, I just think we had been struggling offensively the last 3 or 4 games, and we went back and watched video and studied what we were doing offensively, and we weren't putting the ball on the floor and going. We were getting enough post touches, but we weren't putting the ball and driving. And we not only did I think it's a good game plan against Hope, but I think it's a good game plan for our offense to focus in a little bit more of that. And so we really tried to work on that the last 2 days, and once again, they did a good job of executing it.
Man, I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun. You started all 5 seniors, okay? The big fella, Ryan Lowe, got into the post. and showed pretty much what we've seen the entire time he's been here. Yep. In the 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes you can get out of him, he can take over a game. He's just that big and physical.
Yeah, and he just draws so much attention.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he did a very good job. I'm proud of him how he did his defense. Everybody talks about his offense, but that's his big nemesis, and he did a great job of that today. I was really proud of him to see that he's moving his feet and moving around today and rebounding. But he's such a load, you know, down low that it's really hard to stop him.
Yeah, he really is. Dylan Bennett seemed like whenever you needed that big three-point shot in the corner, it was going in today, not only from him, but Nate Collins did the same thing. That's something that we've been kind of missing the last couple games, too. We've had the looks. We haven't been able to knock them down.
You're not lying.
Yeah.
See, hope they save some for next week. No, I think that we were so – I didn't think we got enough of them, and that goes back to the driving piece. You know, shooters need some shots to get going.
Yeah.
And if they don't hit a couple, then you know, they kind of feel bad and they need some easy buckets, and that's why I wanted to take the pressure off of them, because I wanted to get more better looks and put some pressure on the defense by driving, and if they come over and help, then kick. And we got more of wide open ones today because we drove, and they just, you know, if they didn't hit a couple, then they got a couple more opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for those guys too.
Man, you fought for every loose ball today. You know, you were on the floor, you were all over the place. It was a fun day. Let's talk about the other couple seniors, because you're losing 5 good guys this year. Austin Thompson came in off the starting role here today, picked up 5 points, gave you a little bit of a spark. I thought he did a wonderful job this afternoon as well.
He did. It was great to see him out on the floor. Austin is an unbelievable – he doesn't play very much. He knew his role, embraced his role this year, and he's a vital, important – he's constantly in my ear on the bench talking about the game. He's talking about the players and their matchups, and he's another coach, but he's on the team. And he's been it was great to see him play today and get some stuff done. And so I thought it was a great day for him.
Let's go with 10 and 20 right now. Arshawn Parker as well got the start again today.
Yep.
You know, again, all your seniors you got to be happy with, but Arshawn gave you a really nice effort today too.
Yep, and he's another one I'm just telling you got to put the ball on the floor and go, because when he does, he's a pretty exciting player, and sometimes he thinks about it too much, and I just got to get it out of his head. And you're going to make mistakes, and I'm okay with that. You just got to go be aggressive.
Yeah.
And played well today. And, you know, so who's the last one?
Jalen Fordham, man. Let's do it. I've got to double the number, man. We went from 10 to 20. And I don't know, outside of my broadcast partner, Jimmy Bellamy, who's got some real leaps, okay? He can get up in the air 6, 7 inches sometimes off that floor, Coach. Sometimes 7 inches. I've never seen a guy that can get up in the air like that young fella can. And boy, what a ball game he provided for you today.
He played really well today.
He did.
And offensively, defensively, he was really, really good. And I'll tell you what, we are not in this position without Jalen Fordham.
Yes.
And, you know, I think hearing somebody whisper the trying scores, I think we finished second after being picked 7th. We're not in this position without Jalen. And what he gave on the floor tonight and today during the game, he's given even more to the program with his leadership and buying into the program and getting our guys and being a leader and getting our guys to you know, kind of create a championship culture. And so what he showed tonight, he's gone above and beyond off the court and what he's done with his leadership.
Let's talk about what's ahead of you right now. You get basically some days off all the way until Friday by being the number 2 seed. Do you like that idea, or would you have liked to have that continuity and played that Wednesday game?
Well, I think part of it is you don't like it because I think the teams that play during the week and get a taste of what the tournament is all about have a little bit of advantage because they've done it already and they've got one game under their belt, and it's a do-or-die situation. However, I like our situation if you start thinking about the tournament and winning the tournament. Playing 3 games in 4 days is really, really hard.
Yep.
And, winning 3 games in 4 days is really hard, I should say. And, we only have to do it 2 and 2. So I think if you think about winning, it's just getting over that hump and getting your guys to play. Because once you hit tournament time, it seems like the intensity goes up a notch. And once you get adjusted to that, if you can get your team ready for that, then they'll be okay on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a fun MIAA tournament. I don't see a clear-cut winner or favorite going into this tournament, man. Anybody that makes that Friday night first round has a chance to win it on Saturday, for my money.
Yep. And, it's going to be interesting that, that Trine gets to host. I think the home court this year in our league has been such a huge advantage. And they obviously have to be the favorite being at home. It's been really, really hard to win on the road this year. But it'll be interesting because we have a neutral game on Friday.
Yeah.
Being the 2 seed. And, so it's take the home court advantage out of that. And so it'll be interesting. We just got to be ready to play. And who knows who's going to be there on Saturday. We just hope it's us.
No doubt about that. Well, we hope it's going to be you too. You know what? It was a tough way coming home. You had 3 road games, and you finally get to this one. And we kept looking at that game and hoping that this was going to be the game that we're going to get to wrap things up and host it here at the Kresge. Unfortunately, man, that game at Trine, was that the Calvin game? Was there a little bit of a hangover after that Trine game after being so close on that Saturday?
I think there was, and I think they were very disappointed. I knew it was almost like a trap game because we had beaten Calvin earlier.
Yep.
And I just think that sometimes you think it's going to be easy, and you're going on their home court, and I think they're playing really well. They're playing as well as anybody in the league.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one. And so I think we wanted to go in the game, and I told them going into this game, we hadn't played with a chip on our shoulder, and I think that's what's got us here. Hey, you picked a 7th, and we're okay with where we were first or second. We're satisfied with it, and we needed to get back to having a chip on our shoulder and playing something like you got to prove something, and I think we did that today.
I think you did that today as well, and if you play that way 2 more times, it might be an opportunity to play 1 more game or 2 more games at the end of this whole thing.
I can't say that we're for sure going to win if we play like that.
Yep.
But it puts ourselves in a really good position.
You're going to be a hard out, buddy, if you play as well as what you played today. Well, best of luck to you this weekend. We enjoyed it.
Thanks.
We enjoyed the season. We're looking forward to next year again when we get together again. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to go to Trine, I don't think. But at the same time, we'll be watching. How's that? So.
We appreciate everything that you guys do, and football and basketball seasons. We appreciate it.
We'll be back, man. We love it. As long as you ask us, we're here. How's that, Coach?
You're welcome anytime.
All right, Jody May, our guest, and his guys today just absolutely put it to the Hope Flying Dutchman, 87-56, and that's going to wrap it up for us here this afternoon on the Britain Sports Network.